It's Maxim Jean-Louis, who is President and Chief Executive Officer of Contact North in Ontario, Canada. That organization is a good friend of Eden and works with Ontario's colleges, universities, Indigenous institutes, and other public education and training providers. Its work focuses on improving access to learning, supporting innovation through applied research and technology, and sharing knowledge in Canada and internationally. And today, Maxim will share some thoughts, in fact, rather questions, with us. Maxim, the floor is yours.
Thank you. You've noticed how relaxed Wim is this morning. Yesterday, I was having dinner with him while Belgium was drilling Egypt, and he was sweating. But today, he's feeling much better. Let me first apologize to you because what I didn't want to do this morning was to repeat the things that have been said yesterday. So I decided to adjust my presentation somewhat because that's the challenge when you are the speaker on the second day. So my title now is When Students Trust AI More Than People. I'll repeat that. When students trust AI more than people, the mental health risk. Let me start with the mental health risk. Student is anxious, lonely, or depressed. They open an AI chatbot. It answers. It listens. It makes sense of them. And slowly, it becomes easier to trust the machine than to trust another person. What do we do when that begins to affect their mental health? We need to ask ourselves that question. Let's reflect together over the next 10 minutes. Last night, during the wonderful Eden Gala dinner cruise on the Douro River here in Porto, I was speaking with my longtime colleague and friend, John Baker, founder and executive chairperson of D2L, one of Canada's largest learning management system companies. John mentioned a study by, I'm going to murder their names, Cheng-Yu Lee, Yang Hui, and Linda Sarah Hagerden, titled The Cognitive Impact of ChatGPT in Higher Education, a systematic review of critical and creative outcomes, creative thinking outcomes. Right there on the boat, John did what he always did, email literally the study to me. So before most of Porto this morning, I was reading that study over coffee, only to be interrupted by Nicole Johnson, who was going out to jog. The study reviewed 67 research papers on ChatGPT in higher education. For me, it came down to two words: cognitive offloading. Students using AI not simply to support their thinking, but increasingly to perform thinking tasks on their behalf. That phrase kind of sat with me for a while. Yesterday, after the very informative and comprehensive keynote by Professor Luis Paulo Ruiz, I asked him about something on his very first slide. He had described AI as a learning partner. I asked him whether he was in fact holding back, whether learning partners stop short of something stronger. Maybe AI is becoming a thinking partner. A learning partner helps us understand. A thinking partner helps us formulate the thought itself. There is a difference. It's a totally different relationship. Then there is my wife, Liz, who some of you met yesterday. She's a retired teacher whose pastime is stock investing. Doesn't like Elon Musk at all. She said something that made this whole issue less abstract to me a few days ago. She says, the reason I talk to my AI rather than write to it is when I talk, I can get all my thoughts out at the same time, even if it is mumbo jumbo. If my thoughts are all over the place, the AI still figure out the main idea and give me an answer. This is the point. You can be scattered, unclear, emotional, all over the place, and the AI still answers. It organizes you and me. It makes sense of you and me. That is useful. It may be powerful in ways we have not yet fully understood. For a student who is lonely, anxious, isolated, or vulnerable, the chatbot may not feel like a tool. It may feel like the one place where they are understood. This is where my worry begins. Not with AI writing an essay, not with AI solving a problem, but AI becoming the place a student turns for reassurance, guidance, companionship. So let's ask this in a blunt way. What happens when students begin trusting AI more than people? Colleagues, it is happening, I think. What happens when the tool starts to feel like the safest relationship in their life? And what happens when that begins to affect their mental health? I'm not suggesting every student who spends significant time with AI is in trouble. But many of us in this room work closely with students. I'd be surprised if some of you have not already seen something that made you pause. A student leaning too heavily on AI, a student turning to AI for emotional support, a student whose use of AI seems to be much more than learning. I think something is starting to show up. Not everywhere, not every student, but enough that we, the Eden community, should pay attention to. So what do we do? What do we do? 4 possible options. First, ask. When we talk to students about wellness, let's ask about AI use. Not to police them, just to understand. Second, notice. Faculties, advisors, counselors, and student support staff need to recognize when AI may be replacing human connection instead of supporting learning. Third, let's teach the risk honestly. AI literacy, which we all talk about, should include trust, dependency, emotional attachment, and the limits of those systems. Fourth and last, make people easier to reach for the student. We all know the words: mentoring, peer support, advising, community. Because loneliness is part of the problem, the answer cannot only be better technology. It has to be stronger human connection. Let's compare notes. As I said yesterday, most wise approach to all of this is humility. I do not have a final answer, but I do think we need to start comparing notes. If you've seen students struggling, and I know that you have, some of you, with this, I do hope you will share those experiences during this second wonderful day of the Eden Conference. Because if something is changing, we'll understand it faster together than alone. Thank you.